I'd like to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and 84% of everybody who watches these videos is not subscribed. So if you do enjoy today's video or any of the ones you might have seen here in the past, please consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. How's it going, everyone? It is 2:19 in the morning as of recording this, and it is the end of the first day of Melty Blood Type Lumina, the end of the official first day of Type Lumina. I know it came out like several hours early on consoles the other day, so it's a little bit weird, but today we're going to take a look at the Steam numbers because that's all I can really pull. Like right now, I don't think PlayStation publishes that kind of stuff, and I know Xbox and Switch definitely doesn't, right? Nintendo has an iron grip on any information that comes off of their consoles or anything that they make. And I was hoping to have some gameplay for you guys today, but the matchmaking servers are like completely broken on Steam right now. So if you don't know, if you have it on console, the Steam version does not work at all. If you try to connect to a lobby, it crashes. If you try to use like the matchmaking, it crashes. I think the only way is to get like a direct link to a lobby somehow, or to change your download region to Japan, which I'm okay with it, right? Like I'm okay with not playing today and just labbing things out. That's what I've been doing all day. I've been labbing red arcade combos that I find on Twitter, and they're pretty hard, right? They're not simple combos, so that's what's been keeping me busy on the game, and I think that's what's keeping the other 7,000 people busy right now that are on at 2:22 in the morning on a game where the online is not quite working yet. So with all that said, let's take a look at the numbers. Let's compare them to some other games at their launch. And then I want to take a look at a tweet that I thought was very interesting and got mixed opinions for no reason. So stick around for that. So you can see here, 24-hour peak was 13,182. All-time peak was also 13,182 because the game's only been out. I mean, the game's only been out for a day, right, on Steam. You can see this chart. I think there's another one that they usually show in here. It might show up because the game's so new, it might not be here yet, but it will like measure the amount of people watching on Twitch against the amount of people actually playing the game. And that's a really cool chart. I don't think it's updated yet, so we can't really see it. But yeah, 7,056 people on the game right now at 2:24 in the morning, which is pretty good. That's really good. 13,182 I think is more than a lot of people were expecting. I was thinking it would be like somewhere in the 5 digits, not 13,000 though. I thought maybe it'd max at 10 and then it drop down pretty fast, but it held its own. It held pretty steady. You can see here at the chart. And if we take those statistics against Guilty Gear Strive, a game that you guys are probably familiar with at this point, and a lot of you might be coming from, look, it's not fair to compare a game that's 3 months, 4 months old to a game that just came out, right? So we're going to take a look at the historical chart and compare it that way. So if we take a look at launch day, that was this number here, 31,156, which was completely way more than I think anybody expected. I did not expect this game to get 31,000 people on the game on the very first day. And obviously that number's dropped off because the game's been out a few months. And if you don't know, on Steam, you can like refund the game after playing it for less than 2 hours. So this is probably a lot of casuals who saw the game, like the designs of the characters, picked it up and then said, this isn't for me, returned it, which is fair enough, right? But this doesn't account for that, right? This is the peak absolute number of the most people who were ever on the game. And usually this number stands. I think very rarely do you see a game ever break its peak numbers like from launch later on, unless it's like, again, it has a huge overhaul like Apex, I think breaks its peak like pretty consistently. Games like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive that come back after years and years. Basically games at the top, right? Games at the top are always breaking their peaks with new updates and new content and stuff. But that's not really a trend that I see in fighting games too often, or at all, really. And if you scroll down here, this is the chart that I was talking about that compares Twitch viewers against people playing. So I think, I'm not even sure what happened on August 5th, but Strive had 71,000 people watching. And that might have been something with Twitch Rivals or like some Twitch presentation thing. I don't know. They might have put it on the front page or something like that. I'm not really sure. But I like looking at this graph because it shows you how many people just watch and how many people, you know, actually play the game. And then let's go into Tekken. Let's take a look at Tekken because that is probably the only other game on Steam that reaches like those kind of numbers and holds consistently at like 4, maybe even 5,000 during the day. So let's take a look at that. All-time peak 18,000, right? So that was 4 years ago. And this is why I thought that the peak for Guilty Gear Strive was so amazing, right? Because it beat out Tekken and it completely blew Street Fighter V out of the water. We might take a little peek at that afterwards, but it wasn't even close. You can see though 24-hour peak, 6,300 players, which is very impressive for a game that's 4 years old, 5 years old. This is a rare game that is growing. This is a fighting game that's been growing over the years, and more and more people are picking it up, and you can see that from these charts in here. Also, the viewership is insane, right? July 25th, 2019. This is probably Evo or something, right? 240,000 viewers, and then it tapers off. It goes in. It comes and goes, but I'm guessing these spikes, like July 25th of every year, is like Evo numbers. And if we take a quick peek at Street Fighter V, you can see 14,700 was its all-time peak. From what I understand, like the reason that Tekken and Street Fighter V, Tekken 7 and Street Fighter V weren't as big on the PC is because I guess consoles were still big at that point. Like people were still mostly playing on consoles. Maybe they were playing offline, and maybe the FGC wasn't really moving over to PCs. I wasn't around back then, so I can't really tell you. But now it seems like a lot more people are moving to PC because they understand that the hardware runs these games better, right? It runs the games a lot better. Especially this one. I can attest to Street Fighter V playing significantly better, almost like a different game on the PC than it does on the PlayStation, both graphically and like performance-wise. And if you scroll down on the Street Fighter one, take these stats with a grain of salt, right? Because I don't want to imply anything. I like the Capcom games, but I just find it very hard to believe that for every CPT qualifier, there's 25,000 people watching, no matter what region it is, no matter who's playing, and I can only find like 2,000 or 3,000 names in the chat maximum, right? 2,000 or 3,000 users like logged in. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm not implying anything. I'm not saying anything. I love Capcom. I like Street Fighter V, but it's kind of hard for me to believe those numbers, those viewership numbers, for the content that's being streamed. And if you want to take a look at these statistics for yourself at any time, you can head over to steamdb.info. I know there's Steam charts, but I like the UI and the layout of this website a lot better. And it also offers you a lot more data that Steam charts doesn't. Okay, now let's get into what I think this means for the future, right? I want to bring up this Obama tweet because I think he makes a great point. But this is the first time that we're seeing games that have storied past or like previous iterations that are coming out with good rollback, right? You can say Street Fighter V was the first one to have rollback or whatever, but it's not functional, right? If functional rollback is different than whatever they did to Street Fighter V. And trust me, I played that game for 1,007 hours on Steam alone, and I've suffered through it. So to play these games that are coming out and to have games that you can play online at any time against anybody is great. And it's a huge selling point. It's a huge selling point. That's why you're seeing 12,000 people playing an indie game, right? They're playing Melty Blood, or 31,000 people playing Guilty Gear. But Strive has more players on the first day than the rest of the series combined had total. Think about it. 31,000 people. That's amazing. And not to discount the 12,000, 13,000 people playing Melty Blood Type Lumina right now. It's not even a weekend. It's 2 in the fucking morning on a Thursday, right? The game came out on a Thursday, and it has those kind of numbers. Wait till the weekend. It might prove me wrong and break that cap of 13,000. I don't know. But so far, it's having a great launch, and there's a lot of people very excited about it, and I'm happy to see it. But let me read this tweet to you, and then we'll look through some of the responses that I thought were kind of stupid and were just bad takes in general. So Majo Obama said, whether you play Street Fighter, Tekken, or whatever, you should be celebrating the initial launch success of Strive and Melty Blood this year. If these IPs could perform the way they did this year, imagine how strong of an opportunity the next SF or Tekken will have if the package is right. I completely agree with this. This is like exactly how I felt seeing Strive hit 31K, seeing Melty Blood hit 13K. At heart, I still want to play Street Fighter 6 when it comes out, and I still want it to be a success. As long as they look at the statistics and say, hey, we need to fix the online, which I'm confident they will because they have two new directors or whatever. I think Ono left. He actually works at the company that's doing like the PR and stuff for Melty Blood, Delightworks, I think they're called. So yeah, I think even if you're not a Melty Blood fan, even if you're not an anime fan or a Strive fan, be happy, right? This is good. It's good for the community as a whole. It's not, you don't have to look at it as this game won, my game has to lose. One party doesn't have to lose for the other one to win. You can both win, right? That seems to be a huge disconnect between some of the people playing these different games and seeing these newer anime games be successful. I think this is bait. I'm going to read it, but I think this is bait. It's just, honestly, the only reason why Strive and these underground games are having any success is because Street Fighter V and Tekken 7 are bad games. When Street Fighter V came out, from what I understand, I wasn't there, Not a lot of people liked it, and it was a bad game. Now I think it's been patched into a good product, a well-rounded product, and a balanced product. Tekken 7, though, the opinion for that game has been pretty high until like Leroy came out, right? Or until some of those DLC characters that sort of ran the game for a little bit. And even now, I feel like people love that game, and it has great ratings, and you can see that it's growing. So that's why I feel like this is bait. Like Obama said right here, pretty stupid post, but go off. You seem to have convinced yourself. I agree with that completely. This is completely true too. This tweet is basically just saying this is like Obama tweeted something very wholesome, like very positive for the whole community, and it brought out like some of the most insane takes I've seen. This one's pretty good too. I think a lot of these are bait, but I'm taking the bait, dude. I'm like a fish on the end of a line, dude. He says, yawning, it's another 2D game with the same sort of engine mechanic combat we've had since the 90s. It's getting a little stale, don't you think? I swear if the next big 3D fighter is just a reskin port from the PS2 era, I give up. If you feel like this, I feel like you shouldn't be playing fighting games still. If you feel like since the 90s, nothing has changed and it's all the same thing, play something else, man. Go play FPS. Go play... you could say the same thing about Counter-Strike and like Valorant if you wanted. Counter-Strike has been around since the 90s and has changed more and more over the iterations, but still keeps the fundamental game fun. It still keeps it engaging. Valorant just added some abilities. Valorant added some flavor to it and changed it up a little bit. It's the same fundamental thing, right? You're still fighting each other, but it adds things. It makes things more interesting, and it's not completely the same as Counter-Strike was back in the 90s or in the early 2000s. This one's really good too. I was laughing at Obama's response, but this guy said, how come every time a new fighting game comes out, people use this opportunity to shit on Street Fighter? Definitely missed the point. Completely missed the point. And yeah, there's just a lot. If you want to take a look at this thread, it's very entertaining and very funny at how people can twist the words and ideas that Obama tweeted into making it just completely negative and make it completely nothing about the point, right? It's like they're doing mental gymnastics to convince themselves that they're right, and then they just spew that shit on Twitter and expect everybody to agree with them. It's crazy. Hopefully next video I can get you guys some gameplay playing online against other people. The lobbies don't work on Steam. The matchmaking doesn't really work on Steam. It just crashes all the time. But this happens for most new releases, right? There's some sort of network issues or connection issues because there's either too many people on the game or something didn't get tested right. And they just got to fix it, right? So the sooner they fix it, the better. But I'm not upset about it. There's a lot of stuff to practice, a lot of stuff to lab, and a lot of things I'm trying to do. And while I'm at it, before I forget, if you guys play... Red Arcwade, you should check out School Bus's Twitter because it's right here, sometimes _Fendo. He tweets out some very good stuff, tech wise, combo wise, just a lot of good information to have very fast, right? I was very impressed and very blown away with how much he's pulled out of this game in like the past 16 hours and pulled out of this character specifically. This, for example, is a combo I've been trying to learn since the servers went down and since they've been broken. And to be honest, I still can't do it. I get to about right here, the jump 214A, and then I have trouble getting this dash out, but I'll get it eventually. So that's what I'll be working on. And if the servers aren't fixed by the time the next video needs to be made, you'll probably see me learning this combo or talking about some portion of it. So look forward to that if if we can't connect to the game by then. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, please consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching.